I think it's time we talk now. I think it's been too long now. I think we have to make it through.
I think it's time we talk now. I think it's been too long now. That's how the title track of Alexz Johnson's new album starts. I couldn't have put it in better words. After almost 15 years of stunning for her, I got the opportunity to have a little conversation. You might know her from the popular TV series Instant Star or from the unique music she's creating. Her journey as an artist was rather tumultuous with a lot of bumps in the road. However, as she claims, she is happy where she is right now. Alexz has just released her brand new album Stila Life, which is very special to her and her fans. Watch to find out why.
I guess I'm tired of giving in.
I'd like to ask you at first, how do you deal with this whole isolation situation?
I'm actually, it's so, I mean, I know everybody's going through their own time with this, but for me specifically, I just had a baby before this happened, which you'll hear her in the Yeah, so she's just coming up to 3 months. Yeah, I had just had a baby. I was kind of already isolating a bit and kind of nesting and gearing up to release this album. And so for me, I've just been getting the garden together and tapping the trees for maple. And like, really, it's been kind of a dream because I get to just be home every day and be with the baby. But when it comes to releasing an album, it's a little bit disappointing that I can't plan, or I had in mind to plan an album release show in New York City. And then from there, a US tour, and then from there, a European tour. So that's kind of been postponed, but, hopefully things can get back to normal soon and I can make that happen. So
were these just plans to tour or did you have set the places or dates?
So I was just starting. My next goal is just working on another music video for a single. And I was just starting to put pen to paper on where I wanted to play. I actually had an intern from Finland about a year ago who was here helping me and learning about music business and all of that. And he had some good suggestions and kind of helped me chart out, where I should go in places I hadn't played before, right? Like Johannesburg and I haven't played Poland,
Poland. I remember about it.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, like how far reached my music has gone. And Poland, I mean, you guys are just really amazing to me over there. So appreciate.
I need to tell you that during the Instant Star heydays, you were pretty big here. We in Poland, we had a special Polish edition of the first soundtrack. It's in Polish.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If you collect such things, I can send you one copy because I have two.
Yeah, I would love a copy of that. That's crazy. I did not even know that existed. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's actually strange because inside in the booklet there's a poster from the second season and it's only the first season soundtrack.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to know how do you feel about Instant Star questions now?
I feel fine about it. I mean, honestly, it was like such a cool show to be a part of. To me, it's like been so many years since that show had aired. It's really taken on its own kind of cult following, which is really, I mean, it's cool. I really thought the writing of that show, the music of that show for that time, I think it was awesome. And I feel, it's been only mostly positive playing Jude Harrison. I mean, obviously when you play a character that long on a series, people have a hard time seeing you as anything else. I think it's but that's like the norm for, I think, many TV actors and actresses. So that's kind of come with its own stuff, but mostly awesome. So yeah, whatever questions you have, I'm happy to answer.
Well, my first question is because I would like to know why is it that you never perform songs from this show on your during your performances? Like Skin, 24 Hours. You are recognized by these songs.
Yeah, if I were to perform songs from Instant Star, like you'd mentioned, it would definitely be songs like Skin, which I have played Skin, at a couple shows here and there. Like if you
Hmm.
look on YouTube, you'll see I have, that song's kind of like a classic for my brother and I.
Hmm.
But if I were to play songs from Instant Star, it would probably be the songs that I had been a part of writing. I have a bit of a disconnect from songs that Jude performed that I didn't have any involvement with, just because I'm a songwriter. And even though some of them are great, like some of my favorite songs from Instant Star actually are like "Where Does It Hurt?" I didn't
Yeah.
write that
Oh.
one. Like "Time to Be 21" is such a precious song. I didn't write that one. But when you're constantly making music and writing music, and it's my livelihood, so for me to
Hmm.
perform songs that I don't own the masters of, or songs that I have it's kind of like it would be more of an homage to the fans if they had asked
Hmm.
for it on stage. It'd be more like that. But my goal as an independent artist is to perform and spread the word on music that I've written, and
Yeah.
that's how it kind of has to be. So I'm not opposed to singing them. It's just I always am writing new material, and I always want to play stuff. But
Yeah. The last instance or a related question. Your fans actually asked about it a million times. You are probably sick of this question. However, because you are signed to a big label, Epic, on the last two soundtracks, there were only 4 songs sung by you, and the rest were like shelved, not released. However, I know that some of your fans actually reach out to Steven Stone, right?
yeah,
That was his name,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he said that if you're okay with it, he will release them. So it's more
yeah.
like a request, but if
Oh yeah. I'm
you,
okay with it. I mean, 100%. Any of that stuff is like I mean, get it out there. Like it's all good music.
yeah,
Uh
I'm I'm dying to have like Here We Go Again, the music, Shatter Me even from the first
yeah.
season. That's
Maybe we could like get a petition signed or something and get people together to kind of. I know that would be through Steven Stone and Orange Lounge recordings as
Mhm.
well. Yeah. I mean, again, like all of that, I have so little to do with that. I have no control over that. The only thing I have control over is the music that I make and that I release through my own label, Lady Spencer
Mhm.
Music Incorporated, which is why I've spent this last couple of years releasing music through that platform so I can have control, and not, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And even then
I do.
fans are asking if I could get Voodoo on vinyl, and I would love to. That would have to be. I mean, I'd have to kind of speak with Orange and see if that's okay because they own the masters to that album. Because
Just do it.
that's what records do. They own the masters and they own the control over the music, and which comes with its positives and negatives,
Yeah.
of course. But so yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
By the way,
questioned a lot on
mhm.
Twitter. I'll have fans ask me, "Where's this? Where's that?" And it's like, oh man, like and that's the landscape of the major music industry right now, and you see other artists come forth and talk about it, and sometimes it feels like we're a little bit powerless, which is why we so try to take back our power
Mhm.
physically, so yeah.
I understand. Okay, so happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Congratulations on Ryan. She's such a precious baby. I
you.
wonder, do you sing to her?
I sing to her, oh my gosh, all the time. Playing, I mean, I think she's getting sick of my voice. I feel like she was in the womb. She heard Still Alive so much when she was in the womb because I was editing the music video,
Mhm.
and that song was just in this whole album. So I think there's certain, yeah, she'll sometimes if I have to listen to a track or like make sure it's good. Like I uploaded some tracks to YouTube yesterday, and I'm hearing if the quality is okay. And as soon as I play, she kind of stops and listens, and I'm like, okay, she knows the voice, so she'll get sick of it soon enough.
Yeah. So, speaking about your album, it was a long way in the making.
I got you, things are out of space. Things are moving up and down, you're standing in a dark place. You know me, I'm right on the other side. Things are hurting all the time like you've died, but you're still
I remember
alive.
how excited you were to actually release this album, and what happened? Why wasn't it released?
Um, well, yeah. Well, first off, just one moment. Maddie, do you mind taking the baby into the other room for a sec? Awesome. Thank you so much. She's gonna, anytime I talk, anytime I'm on the phone, she likes to be a part of it. So wherever, funniest thing, when I'm not talking, she's quiet. And as soon as I start talking to somebody, she's like, wah, wah, wah. So she's a lot like her mom.
She liked the spotlight.
Wow. Okay. So what happened with that record? I was finished that record. So Greg Wells had finished producing the Wait album. We had picked all the songs for it. And then there was a halt. What happened is the album was finished and they had chosen what songs should be singles. And we were ready to go. And actually the single for the record was going to be Running with the Devil. And that's something never actually shared. So that was like Rob Stringer had said this song, was the head of Sony. I believe he still is. And he had said this should be the single of the album. And then everything just kind of stopped because Charlie Walk, who was the senior president at that time, he had been shifted to another label. Something happened with his position. So everything beneath him and everything that he was kind of the overseer for, a lot of different projects. And there's other bands at that time too that I won't say that I knew their album as well was affected from coming out. A lot of up and coming artists. And then, and yeah, so the album was just basically, I got the phone call and it was just, my manager had called me and said, because of Charlie, not being, I guess this is how it works with major labels, Charlie's A&R guys, everyone down the pike gets affected and the artist just ends up being shelved, as in like, we don't know what to do with this artist. We don't know, how to release this or what the plan is, because so much was happening within the label, which was absolutely devastating. It was like, yeah, I had spent a year, close to a year, I think it was like 7 months or something, working on this record with Greg Wells. And yeah, it was just basically taken from me at that time, me and my brother, and we were like, oh my gosh. And then it was all the political, what's going to happen with the record, and can we buy the tracks back, and like, do we get to own any of the material? And it was just like, no, basically everything that was produced, and we'd have to buy back for $500,000 from Sony. And it's pretty insane that labels have the ability to do that. It's, but it's politics, it's music politics, and it's like, the lucky ones that get through, have the record released. And I look at different pop artists and I'm like, wow, like, good for you. That's a great record. And I also always think to myself, I know so many artists that have been shelved that are equally talented and equally as hardworking that didn't get the same opportunity as you did. And to me, it's a conversation that, we should be having in the music industry, is like, what's the trade-off, So it was really devastating. And then from there, we went in, my brother and I decided, like, screw this. We're going to go back to the basics. And we wrote a song called Voodoo, which then took us to our next chapter, which was the Voodoo record. And, at the end of the day, it's interesting because it's such a fine line, because it's like, even people that know me in my journey with music, and they're always like, so this record, Stila Life, is finished. Hey, Alex, are you going to, shop it to labels and get a record deal and put it out through distribute it through a major? And I always think to myself, well, here's the thing. The chance that I actually work with a major label and they actually see the vision that I see, and they honor, what I see, and they put it out the way I see it being put out. It's such a rare, like, compared to them taking it and saying, this is good, but we want to get it reproduced and we want to rebrand it and we want to do this because that person's doing that and that's working well. There's just such a marketing strategy to it, and there's such a branding to it that, to me, it takes away from the actual artists and it takes away from the actual art. And that wasn't happening back in the day. In the 60s and 70s and 80s, it started happening in the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't about that. It was about an artist, and they had their niche fan base and they did what they did. And it wasn't this constant putting the big machine behind them, and, and artists having to alter, and change who they were. So to me, it's just is it sad? It is sad, because it was heartbreaking, and I had to heal from that. And in healing from that, I just started making more music and just continue to make music and do it the way I do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the theory was that one lady took over Epic, and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
let's not mention her name.
Yeah.
However, it was like that she didn't think that the weight material was actually radio friendly or something like that, and they like allowed you to re-record or record new material, or was
Yeah,
it?
so right. So at the time of Epic, at the time that all that was happening, and Charlie Walk had lost his position there, they brought in a woman named Amanda Ghost. And Amanda Ghost, I had written some songs with her, and she was quite a relevant writer at the time. She had written a couple tracks, um, and yeah, she came in and we did some co-writing together. And she loved the music, but she kind of had this. They made her the head of the label, basically. That just happened overnight. And in that decision, she had decided, just her alone, had decided that the Wait albums that were finished and produced were too artistic. Literally, the words that were said were they were too artistic for
That's a
radio.
compliment.
But it's interesting because, you know, they Epic Sony signed an artist that loved. I literally, when I got signed and I had the meeting with the label, was like, you know, my influences are Peter Gabriel, Kate Bush, the Cocteau Twins, Roxy Music, you know, Toto. The list goes on of the stuff that I was inspired by, and they knew this about me as an artist. So it's interesting how somebody can just come in and so that yeah, so that's yeah, and then they had me do the whole rewriting. You know, they hung on to me as an artist. They put that album aside for now, and they had me do a bunch of co-writes with different writers who had achieved number ones on radio. So I wrote with Greg Kirsten. I wrote with, you know, who works with Tegan and Sarah, and I believe Adele, and I worked with Maurice DeFries, who's worked with Madonna, amongst others, and Martin Cherefi, Sasha Scarbeck. They're all amazing writers, and I was just in the gambit, as you would say, of just writing co-writes. And what was frustrating about that is that all of these writers, you know, their job is to deliver hits to the label. Well, what they're delivering, it's kind of like a machine, right? So I come in as an artist and it's like, wow, well, this worked for Avril, or this worked for Hilary Duff, or this worked for, so then you're kind of singing this song that it's like, well, it's not really the essence of who I felt like I was as an artist. I'm just singing a poppy song that'll do well at radio. But how does that serve me when it comes to a long-term career? So I was always at odds and fighting, you know, with my manager at the time. Like, it's a good song, but like, I don't know what, like the sound is like everything else on the radio. The sound sounds like any other artist. And that's where the feistiness in me, and call it whatever, was just like, I really fought tooth and nail. And I think that is what, at the end of the day, ended up, you know, making me, it was a mutual separation from the major. I was like, this just is like, I'm not going to, you know, sing, like, no offense, and this is not in correlation with any other music, and I respect everybody's tastes, but I just didn't want to sing like the fast food of industry music. I wanted to be an artist. And that's where it was just like, okay. And I got the message on how major labels work for some, not for all artists. Some artists are really lucky and they have a different journey. But for me, it was just like, it just didn't work. It just rubbed against, it wasn't working. So I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. So that's the story there.
So actually, because you are such an inspiration to me because of what you have to deal with at this point. Actually, you know, you had a record deal, you had already album, like Instant Star pushed you really out there internationally, and you had quite a big platform back then. And then the label actually decided to drop you, and that you must have been like emotionally drained. How did you deal with that?
I mean, yeah, it was exhausting. It was so many times in my career, like I have wished, and I've said this before, I have wished that somebody who's close to me has just told me to stop. I mean, I'm good at a couple things, you know, there's things that I'm passionate about, you know, it's not just music. Like, I'm passionate about a lot of different things, but it's like, for some reason, nobody's ever said that to me. It's always been like, this is amazing, get this out there and do what you have to do to make it happen. The hardest thing for me, it's so funny, Pop Crave just did a review of the record. It was really cool because like that's a pretty, I mean, that's awesome. Like that's just, and through fans sending stuff, and you know, I kind of get these fans that reach out to me and say, can I help you with PR and stuff like that? And it's always like, sure, like why not? It's so old school. and they'll post something about me, and there'll be so much, like, certain people are like, oh my gosh, Alexz is like, her music is such an inspiration, her story, and they know me. And then so many other people are like, who is this a joke? Who is this a joke? So I just spent like 5 minutes just like replying to those people with my Wikipedia page. Just if you're curious, like, here it is, the story, because it is like, there's that, you know, I've been doing it for so long, and I guess something that sometimes feels a little bit like, ugh, and I know that fans don't mean to say this on Twitter or online, but, you know, Alexz Johnson is the most underrated artist in the industry. Sometimes it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel pretty blessed with the fan base that I have, and the fact that I'm still able to put out music as an indie artist and do it on my terms. Could I be bigger? Sure. Could I be, you know, playing the Grammys? Sure. But at this point, when it comes to the politics of even that, watching why things unfold, why people get to where they get to, the things they have to give up to get there, it's not worth it to me. So it's like, I just want my fan base to know I'm really happy with like just the way that things have gone down. Because who knows what would have happened if that record came out with Sony? Who knows if I was emotionally stable enough at that age to deal with the amount of success that could have come my way? Maybe I was being protected in some way. I don't know.
Maybe. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
How would you ever consider signing a deal with a big record label now, or?
There'd have to be a lot of. I mean, the terms would have to be really like what would be the reason? Like, what can you guys get me opening for an awesome artist that could help me draw new fans? Can you guys, you know, make it worth my while? I guess it would have to be like an exceptional deal at that point. You know what I mean? And maybe I'll be approached. Who knows? You know, I'm just going to continue doing what I do.
Okay, when it comes to your new album, Stila Life, the first thing when I saw the cover of this album that you posted was an old poster that I had of you in my room back when I was a child, maybe a teen, I don't remember. It was from Polish magazine, and you know, it's the playing background. You have also the same color of the tea and.
Yeah, totally. I remember that shoot. I was exhausted.
Like hearing all these songs, how they used to sound back in the day, and how you improved them actually, because the new versions are much more like up to date, maybe. You know, the sound of them. I really love it. And yeah, let's talk about this album.
Sure.
So ironically, this album came out 10 years after your real debut album came out, Voodoo. And did you have like this coincidence in your mind when you decided to put it out now, or you didn't think about it actually?
I didn't. It was a coincidence. I mean, I wanted to go back. I mean, we had started reworking on this Stila Live album like 2 years ago. So it was actually, we started recording the songs 2 years ago, and then everything else happened, and life happens, and then my sister was diagnosed with cancer, and then we took a break, and then I had a baby, and you know, all these things, basically just life. It was almost like this record was like, and so that was just a coincidence. But yeah, pretty funny how those things work out.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. When did you actually feel like it's time to finally open this vault and close this chapter?
It was like 2 years ago. It was around the 10-year. Someone had mentioned to me, wow, it's been 10 years since you had recorded that record, Wait. And I just, you know, the songs, I still loved the songs, and I'd still, you know, I know that some of them were on the basement recordings, And my family will just like throw on music sometimes if we get together, and those songs would come on, and I always kind of felt like it's sad. I didn't want it to be a sad story. I didn't want it to be like a record that never got out. I wanted to kind of take back the control of it and make it a positive story. So we just decided to go back. At the time, it was like, let's just go back and re-record them. It ended up being like one of the most difficult things musically I've ever had to do in my life. Voices change. My voice has grown. It's evolved.
Yeah.
I've toured since then. When I recorded that first Wait album, I'd never been on tour. I was a TV star, but I'd never really like carried my guitars into the room, like into the venues. Blood, sweat, and tears, like bleeding fingers from playing guitar. Like coming back at this music was like, I'm a different artist. And that's the thing. Like it's like demo-itis, you know, like singing Chicago. That time, it's like, give him up, let him go. Like it's like this, you know, airy, fairy, wee. And like now it's like singing Chicago is like, oh my God, like, you know, it's like there's this deeper meaning to it for me, right? So that it was really difficult to do that. But I hope that we kind of made the older fans of the Wait album love the record, and also make new fans appreciate the songs too. That was the goal.
I love it. I can't really speak for other fans. However, when I went on your live streams and the fans were just talking about it, and they are all, I love it, and it's a masterpiece, it's great, and it's true. You know, you did a really great job here.
Well, yeah, and also Brendan James Johnson, right? He's the mastermind behind the production, and yeah, it was really cool being able to go back to these songs that we had originally written together. I didn't know who else could do the job as a producer. I mean, we did demos, we did, you know what I mean? So that was really cool to work with him on this. So
yeah, and how did you choose the songs? Because you omitted Mailman and Easy, I guess.
I think it just came down to the vibe of what the record called for. I think Easy was kind of like a bit of an homage to like Ricky Lee Jones at the time. I love Ricky Lee Jones. It's kind of bluesy. It's kind of got this like, you know, jazzy vibe. And it just didn't fit the record. It didn't fit this like super, you know, it's pretty like, I don't even know how to explain it. When I'm explaining the popness of the album, it really is. It's like a unique, I think, like super poppy, eclectic mix of songs, and it just didn't fit, you know. And Mailman, I have a bit of a surprise around Mailman, so don't put that one to bed quite yet.
Okay, and how do you identify with these songs after such a long time? Because when you originally wrote them, you were like a different person.
I know, that's exactly it. Some of the songs I didn't necessarily, you know, certain songs I changed a bit, because as an artist and a writer, I'd written so much since then. I was like, I think this can be better. And I know it's like, wow, because people connect to the song and they go, I loved the original, but that's there. The original exists as a demo. Awesome. I'm going to now do what I want to do. And that's the joy. It was wonderful being able to have the power to do that. And I wasn't precious about it. I think, let's try this. That's cool. I like that. Let's do that, you know? And I think it kind of, so it's definitely it's a funny thing. It must be a trip listening to people who were really like diehard fans of the original songs. It must be like crazy.
Yeah, the change is audible in Shout, I guess, the most.
Totally. Shout's one, yeah. I wanted it to fit in with the record. I wanted to bring in a bit more of that R&B, just make it a bit smoother, make it a bit more emotional, you know? So that was the goal with that.
Okay, and did you reach out to Greg Wells about Stila Life? And has he heard it or not?
I haven't. No, I should. I should send him the record. I haven't even thought about that. I should definitely. That's a really good idea. My goodness, I should do that.
Yeah, we are all curious how would he react after such a long time. You know, he produced those songs and now they are like the new versions, the new Alexz.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll find out. I'm sure. Maybe I'll ask him to do a little review. What he thinks.
Oh, that would be great.
Maybe I can ask him to do a review.
Okay, so I wanted to actually ask you about another thing that happened to you in the past that wasn't actually pleasant, because your album being shelved is not like the only bad memory that you have with those recordings and all of your recordings. Because I remember that back in the day you were hacked by someone and
Yeah.
a lot of your music was leaked into the internet.
Yeah.
And it's mm, it's a really fucked up thing actually to an indie artist to do something like this, because you could use those pure songs somewhere and they were like taken away from you. And
Yeah.
my question is, have you ever found out who it was, or?
I think I have an understanding of who it is. And we're looking into still, there's been a couple occurrences from a few different people who have, violated my rights when it comes to hacking and threatening emails and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's like a whole thing. I was speaking with the LAPD when I was living in Los Angeles, and just kind of like these things are on file. And at the end of the day, I think it's important, if we're going to be using social media and the internet as a form of, there's just, it's such an important, it's our identity in a lot of ways, is these things that belong to us. And I think that, I hope that there's going to be some stronger, what's the word? Repercussions for people who decide to do stuff like that. That it's, I hate it so much. It's like one of those things, you give music, you give an aspect of yourself, and there just seems to be people out there who, it's like they love you so much that they hate you. And it's a weird thing. It's like, and I've seen it my whole life. And I think it comes from being on TV for so long. I think people kind of feel like they have a right to me, or they have a right to my material, or I owe them something. And I think people forget that we're all humans, and like, I could decide to never put out music ever again. And that would just be
Oh my
like
God.
that. No, but it's just like, that's my human right, And I think people get highly emotional, and they, so that's been the ups and downs of being in the music industry. There's just so much hate out there. And I see it with huge artists, and I see it with indie artists, and it's got to stop. And it's one of the, unfortunately, there's a give and take to the industry. And that's something that comes with it, is there's just a lot of really negative people out there. So, I guess just try to, now this day and age, any of the new material I write, I do not put it out on the cloud. I do not put it out there. I do not send it to anybody. I literally have it so on lockdown at this point that it's like, they literally have to find out where I live, break into my house, and to get to my music. So it's just made me smarter. It's just made me smarter as time's gone on,
Yeah, but did it like affect you psychologically in a way?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to ask you about some unreleased stuff as well. Are you up to actually talk about it, or it's like a topic not to in taboo?
Oh, well, what's the question?
Well, I read an interview with your brother, Brendan, like it was 2 years ago, and he was asked about another The Basement recordings to be released. Because, there is such a huge number of those songs which leaked, and you actually cannot make profit of them, which is even insane for me to because I would like to be able to like listen to them on Spotify or something. I know it takes money as well to release something digitally. However, yeah, there are some songs which are like my most favorite by you, and they are unreleased, and I was like waiting for a long of time for them to be released, and I guess they will never be released at this point. However, my favorite song is Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that one. Oh my God, I was so emotional. I remember when I heard it first, I cried.
Yeah, that was a co-write with Toby Gad. That was a co-write when I was still signed with Epic Sony, and they had me do a bunch of co-writes with different writers. Yeah, no, I love that song too. Yeah, well, I guess all I can say is, they're out there, and there's not much I can do about it. So enjoy it, you know, for what it is and where it is. I mean, moving forward, I'm going to, after this album has been released, I'm really focusing now on just like new music now and just, you know, because I wanted to do this because the Wait album was so close to my heart, and now it's like I'm not going to go back and put myself through that again. I'm just going to write new stuff and continue to grow as an artist, and you know, and all
So
that.
you don't plan to actually release another basement recordings with any other songs?
Not so far. No.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. You know.
I understand that. However, yeah, Alice in Wonder's Still Your Love, Wings of a Dove, those were gems. However,
too.
there is actually one more song which I wanted to ask you because it's totally different than what you ever put out, I guess. It's Pilot. It was leaked recently.
Yeah, that was a song I wrote with Blue Macaulay. So we had that band Johnson and Macaulay that we did, that EP. I love that EP and I love that project, and he's so talented. Yeah, that was just a song that we wrote together. It didn't really find a home anywhere, but it was hacked and posted on.
It's such a club banger, you know.
Kind of cool, huh? Good.
Yeah. However, Living in Color, like when I heard this song, it's a new song on your new album. It's a bop, you know. I would like it to be the second single. I don't know what your plans are about it. However, it really stands out.
Good, awesome. Yeah, we wanted to do something really different with that song. I just wanted to try for once not singing and using my writing ability to just kind of like, you know, make an intimate track and have it take some people somewhere else, like they're watching a movie or they're, you know, they're like very cinematic, very, you know, just take them to a different place. That's what I wanted to do with that song. So it seems like people are really liking it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh,
And yeah, could you describe what the process of making the Stila Life video looked like? Because I really love the concept.
It took about 1.5 years, I think, in total to get it done. It was just time consuming. And I think it looks like a very simple video, but if you watch it, it's as seasons are changing from winter to spring. And we had to drive to all these different locations. It was shot between Ontario and New York. And it was me and my brother in the video. And yeah, it's just basically, it's about, I just wanted to give a visual on how the people that are always there for you in your life, no matter what, through thick and thin, through any season. It's a very simple visual, but it could mean maybe somebody's guardian angel, maybe somebody's, you know, partner, maybe a brother or a sister. It's kind of a universal message of just like, you know, being there for somebody when they don't even realize you're there. Like you're just behind them, supporting them and watching them. So yeah, once I decided that's the video I wanted to do, we just started doing it. And Alistair Sinclair was the cinematographer on that. He's genius. And yeah, and it was just the editing and then just showing up at these locations and getting there. It was a lot of work, that video. So I'm glad that people really liked it.
Yeah.
Things are out of space. Things are moving up and down. You're standing in a dark place. You know me. Right on the other side. Things are happening all the time like you died.
Have you made the decision about Patreon already or not?
About what?
Patreon.
A Patreon page?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the next thing. Yeah, I'm so excited. You know, that's my next, that's the next thing I'm going to be putting my time and energy into is a community where we can kind of like connect and talk, and also bringing the fans into my next record process. I think that would be really cool. I'd love to potentially do an acoustic record. You know, I'm spending a lot of time up north Ontario right now, and I'm getting inspired by different things, and obviously being a mom and all these things. So yeah, and I think a Patreon's the best platform when it comes to being able to have that exchange between like, you know, this is my job, I make music, I create it, we share that, and in turn, you know, you guys are a part of a community, and it's kind of like subscribing. You know, if you're going to subscribe to your favorite I don't know, network or Netflix or something, $5 a month, then why not subscribe to a community that's like you guys have access to information, and then maybe maybe certain fans won't feel the need to hack because they'll be getting that one-on-one access, you know. Anyway, that. But I should get going pretty soon because I hear the baby in the back.
Okay, I actually have two more questions. Quick, one quick. Why
Yeah.
Let 'Em Eat Cake is not on the streaming services?
That is, I can't, I want to, I'm working on that. I'm literally working on that as we speak. Let 'Em Eat Cake, there was a distribution deal through Caroline Music, which is an arm of Universal.
Mhm.
And I don't know why they didn't upload it internationally on Spotify. And I'm trying to get in touch with somebody there, but I haven't heard back. So I said on Twitter recently, fans, just like reach out to Caroline Music to kind of get their attention, and we can figure that out because it should be.
Yeah.
Should be posted on those platforms, and I'm actually working right now on regaining the rights to that music. So it will be eventually. So I'm working on that. But you can hear the tracks on my YouTube page.
Yeah, of course.
So you know, it's not all lost for now.
Okay, and my last question is, how do you feel when you hear your fans saying that your music saved their lives, helped them through some bad shit?
It is the reason I continue to do this. It's like it's really like the most, I mean, it's hard. It's not easy delegating, you know. I do everything from the label to the releasing and sometimes, you know, to be my own advocate and to be like, I guess, to believe in it so much to do it. I'm so lucky I have amazing people in my life that, you know, believe in me but that being said, the fans being there and posting and sharing their feelings about it just makes me feel like, wow, like there is a place for this music and it is important and on some level. And that just gives me the strength to continue persevering in such a shitty industry, really.
Well, thank you very much for this interview. It really means a lot to me as a fan of a long time.
Yeah, thank you so much for like taking the time. It's so cool. I can't wait to see this. And